Hey guys, welcome back. We had a few minutes here. We're kind of in between jobs right now, and I thought it might be a good opportunity to take you around, show you where we're at, what we've got done so far, how things are beginning to look, and what we're doing right now. So I thought I would start here in this little greenhouse, and I'll get the camera turned around. We'll take you on a little tour. All right, I guess the first thing we should probably talk about is seeding. We have got about 6,000 seeds here on this little heat mat. Trina did most of that seeding yesterday. You'll be seeing a video come up here Monday of the things that we've done this week, and you'll see a lot of the things I'm going to show you today on that video. So we have seeded our marigold zinnias. We don't do very many flowers. Those are really the main two. We do a few sunflowers. Most of the flowers that we get in come in plugs, so very few flowers that we seed. Mainly this is peppers, sweet bell peppers, and there's some hot peppers back here in the back. A few better bush tomatoes there we do in a bigger pot early. Alright, now we've got some non-stop begonias here. We've got these in a smaller plug this year for the first time, and we bumped them into a flat, and we're growing them out. These will eventually go into hanging baskets, probably about 2 weeks from now. We're just kind of growing them out in those flats for now. The Bloom Masters are really coming along, and I want to show you one in particular that we've already had to move over to the big greenhouse because it has far outperformed the rest of these. I'll tell you about it in just a little bit. These are really taking root, and they're not very far from moving out of here. We raise them in here because we run this greenhouse warmer, and we get them really going, and then we move them over to a cooler greenhouse, and that slows them down. And they've got their root development in here, and then we just send them over there to kind of slow down stem growth, make them fuller, and sometimes we can avoid trimming them because of that. Alrighty, on this side we've got our pansies and violas. They are also real close to moving out of this greenhouse. They've got a real good start. We've got several blooms here on this end. So we're going to be moving them to the petunia house here shortly. And that house we're running extremely cold. I'll take you over there in just a minute. There we have our dragon wing begonia baskets. They stay in here. We'll be hanging those soon, probably right after we move the Bloom Masters out of the way. So a dragon wing begonia, if you're not familiar, I call that my bomb-proof plant. Anybody that has trouble with any kind of a plant and they want a hanging basket that will do well just about in any condition, you want to look for the dragon wing begonia. Really a tough one. So we'll put 3 little plugs in that basket, and you just won't believe how big that thing will get. And it does well just about no matter what. We have a few early cabbage and tomatoes here. These tomatoes will be going in big pots and hanging baskets. So they're probably just a few days away from transplanting. We usually transplant those over into flats and grow them out a little longer, and then put them into the big pots and baskets. Strawberries, we have an everbearing and a June bearing. If you don't know the difference, an everbearing strawberry will give you just a few strawberries all summer long, and a June bearing strawberry is all at once. Usually in my area that is around the last part of May and the first part of June, about a 3-week period. But we do honey O's and Ozark Beauties here. Honey O's are the June bearing, and the Ozark Beauty is the everbearing. Alright, we're going to walk over here right quick. I wanted to show you just so you can compare later on in the video. The Bloom Masters. A lot of you guys, if you like flowers and fool with flowers, are familiar with bubblegum. Bubblegum is a part of the Vista series Supertunias, and bubblegum has always been, or since it came out, has just really changed the market as far as trailing petunias go. It is really an unbelievable grower, does well all summer. These baskets will be unbelievable when they get grown out. But the point I wanted to make It has always been the biggest, best growing petunia that we've ever grown until Sumo came along. So I'm going to show you Sumo in a little bit. Sumo will absolutely drown out a bubble gum if you put them in the same basket together. It is an incredible flower. That is the Vista series. That's the three colors right there. Bubblegum, silverberry, and fuchsia. They mix really well together. They grow well. The fuchsia is a little weaker than the other two, so we'll go a little heavy on it when we mix them. But we've got several mixes back through there, and they're coming along nicely. No problems yet. So we'll move on over to the other greenhouse, and I'll get this camera turned back on in just 1 second. All right, we are in the new greenhouse. And you might faintly, if you've been watching my channel, you might faintly remember somebody saying this was going to be a vegetable house. Well, anybody that knows any greenhouse guy, that's laughable. But we have, for now, got this greenhouse pretty well, the floor pretty well full of vining petunias. This is something we've changed up this year, and it's because we've got the room to do it. We have always in the past held our vining petunias. See, they come to us in a plug. Well, now that plug gets to where you can't hardly maintain it because it's such a small soil area. You have to water that 2-3 times a day, and the plants really begin to suffer, and it's hard to keep up with it. So we would transplant these into 4-packs or flats, hold them as long as possible, and at the very last minute we would transplant them from the 4-packs into these pots and move them outside. Usually we were rushed to do that, and a lot of times the weather would end up biting us in the rear end, and we would get some of them hurt pretty bad. We're going to try this year. I don't know if it's going to work. We'll find out, I guess. We don't use much growth regulator on petunias. A lot of times we'll trim them if we have to, but I'm hoping we won't have to do that because, believe it or not, we are running this greenhouse about 42 degrees in here. So very, very cold. Petunia can take it. It'll grow roots at that temperature, and it'll keep it nice and short and full. And hopefully, by the time the vegetables are ready to move into this greenhouse, these can go outside. So basically, we've eliminated a job, I hope. Well, I know we've eliminated the job, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. So we're hoping that these will be ready to move outside when the weather's ready, and by the time the vegetables have to come in here, which is several weeks away. So they've got lots of time. We do a few planters over there to put in our stands. I need to do a video on the stands that we have. We have some locally made iron stands the guy builds and powder coats for us. And a lot of our flowers we try to customize to put in those stands. That is a certain size planter there, and the Bloom Masters fit just perfect in them. So, and then here's some extra baskets we haven't got wire hangers on yet. All these will be going outside. Usually that's around the 1st of April. But anyway, this is the new greenhouse, and I told my wife yesterday, here we were with all this floor space, and we was cramped up there at the front trying to get the last of these planted. That's typical. That's what will happen in the greenhouse business every time. Hopefully we'll get these out of here. It's going to be a lot easier just to move them out, rather than have to plant them and move them. And usually that's a very busy time around the 1st of April. So we're going to move on over to the fern house. I'll show you how it's coming along. Alright, we're in here in the fern house now. There's not a whole lot going on in here just yet. Ferns are growing, doing pretty good. I just watered them all this morning, and I thought I'd give you a little tip if you don't already know. I watered them with Epsom salts mixed in. I believe that if you're doing small amounts, I think it is a tablespoon in a gallon of water. I like to do that about once every 3 weeks, once a month if you can think of it. It seems to help grow, or to green them up. Magnesium, they like it. So that is something that I will do here occasionally. I like to do it every 2 to 3 weeks if I can. A lot of times I'll just run that with a straight water, and I'll flush them through real good. If they've got any salt buildup in them, then that kind of flushes it out. So I'll run a straight water with Epsom salts, and you can almost see these ferns green up overnight when you do that. So that's what I've just done here this morning, and they were pretty dry, but we've been having some cloudy weather, so I kind of hate to do too much watering if it's cloudy. But they're expecting some sun in the next few days, and I thought I might as well. They were getting kind of dry. All right, we have some sun patiens over here. If you're familiar with the New Guinea impatient, it looks exactly like it, only it can tolerate sun. That's about all I do anymore. I've about quit the New Guineas. I really can't see the point, because these sun patiens will do fine in the shade too. So that's a few of those there. We're going to transplant those into 6.5-inch pots. Gerber daisies over here are coming along. Actually, the proper name is Gerbera daisies. They are they're growing nicely. A lot of times we like to have a bloom on them by somewhere around Easter, and usually they'll do it. I think Easter's a little late this year, so usually they'll do it for us. We have a few plugs back here that need to be transplanted yet, so lots of planting to do. In one of my prior videos, I had told you about the sun ferns. I'm growing those on the top and the Boston ferns on the bottom. That sun fern is a Kimberly Queen, and it is really moving up in demand here at our greenhouse. So, all right, we're going to move over to our last greenhouse, do a walk around there. All right, this greenhouse is where the action has been. We have spent a lot of our lives in this greenhouse in the last couple of weeks. So we'll start out over here. These Bloom Masters were planted the same day as the ones I showed you prior in this video. This is the Sumo, and it is by Surfinia. It is a trailing petunia. This one in particular is the pink. It seems to outperform the other colors in the Sumo series. But if you want a big, huge monstrosity of a flower, you need to check out Sumo. I love them. We don't do very many because they get so big. I hang these 4 feet apart in this greenhouse, and believe it or not, those two baskets will grow together before I can get them out of here. It's unbelievable. We usually have to move every other one around mid-April if we can hold them that long. We'll move them outside. Pretty frost resistant too. I've seen them frost pretty hard and not hurt them. Petunias are tough that way, and Sumo seems to be in particular tough. So, all right, Calibrachoa baskets down this little bench here. We do about 325 or 30 of those. We'll be hanging those all up above us here. In a week or so, they're going to get hung. Geraniums are really beginning to come along. We planted those, I guess, 3 weeks ago now. Oh boy, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago we planted those in these 6-inch pots. And this is something else we did different this year, and this was to eliminate a step, try to get out of some work. We went ahead and planted them. When we planted them in the pots, we went ahead and planted them in these 14-inch planters. And that is on the docket for today, is getting these planters finished up. We usually put something tall like a grass, ornamental grass in the middle, and some trailing plants around the edges. So that's what we're going to do today, is try to get those planters finished. About 3,500 geraniums we do, all different colors. And they're really pretty right now, but in about a week or a week and a half, believe it or not, we're going to cut all those blooms off and spread these. So all that beauty is going to leave. You don't want them blooming too early. So you want that plant to concentrate on growth and not producing blooms. So we're going to clean all these up and spread them out every other hole in the tray so that they have plenty of room to grow. I like all my plants to be short and stout. I don't like a tall, gangly plant. It costs you space in the greenhouse, but in the long run, I think it pays off because you have a much nicer plant. People are happier with. These are our geranium hanging baskets here. We've pretty much got all the wire, well, we do have all the wire hangers on in here. So that's always a big job, but it's out of the way. These are a lot of the plants here that we'll be putting in the planters. Let me give you a list of what we've got here. We have some verbena, different colors. Bacopa. Bacopa is a plant that can tolerate some shade. Morning sun is just perfect for it. Some sweet potato vine. This is a floral sweet potato. We do a lot of that, and it's vigorous, real vigorous. I've put those in planters before, and they will actually produce a potato. And I don't know that it's edible. I don't know if anybody'd ever be that hungry or not. But they come in several different colors. These are the colors that we have. Some of the ornamental grasses that we have, just your basic spike. You know, when we started putting grass in the middle of the planter, I told my wife I thought that was crazy, that's the kind of stuff I usually jerked out of something, not planted. But you know, it's popular. Here in the middle here is baby tut is what it's called. Let me show you. It's a smaller version of the king tut by Proven Winners. We like it. It doesn't get real tall, but you can kind of see the top on it there. Kind of fans out a little bit. There's nothing floral about it, but it's interesting. It's a little different. And beside here is its bigger brother, Prince Tut. It's just a little more vigorous version. It's kind of in between the baby tut and the king tut, hence the name. All right, we got calibrachoas here. These are what's left in our plug trays. After we got everything planted up, we just try to hold them in these plug trays, and one way that we try to do that is we spread them out every other hole in the tray, and that allows them to bush out and not get so stringy. So that's kind of what we do to help that, and you can hold them quite a while. These will be going in a 4.5 inch pot, but it probably won't happen for a couple of weeks, so we're going to try to hold these that much longer. You don't want to get them in there too early, because if you do, then you're going to run into trouble with them getting so big, and you'll get a lot of trimming, and every time you trim, you're cutting off blooms. So here's some of the other things that will go in our planters that we're going to make up today. Some more ornamental grasses. This is an interesting one here. It's a toffee twist. It looks dead, but with the right flower, it's interesting, it's pretty, it looks good. These are Snow Princess, Blushing Princess, Dark Night, White Night. We like all of these mixed in. They add a different type of a bloom, which I think is key. Got some Spirea. It's a spiral type grass. Most of those will be going in a 6 inch pot. Some purple rubrum. So that one has a real purplish leaf at maturity, and it'll have a pinkish purple head. It's really pretty. You know, I found that it doesn't grow that well in here because of the cool temperatures. So it's not giant and beautiful when it leaves here, but I think people get surprised when they take it home. I run this greenhouse really cool, so it kind of stunts it, I think. All right, we have some Nemesia here. Nemesia is one of my favorite plants. It has a different bloom and some really, really beautiful, bright colors. We have it in yellow, blue, white, and orange. And to be able to get a different type of a foliage and a different bloom, I like mixing it in. Some White Nancy Lamium here. It's just a silvery leaf. Usually it'll have a slight flower, but not really enough to mention. You're basically looking for that leaf. We'll put that in planters. We have some licorice plants, some dichondra. Dichondra is amazing. We put it in our planters for my girls' kennel every year and hang it out there, and people look past it in the spring because, I mean, look at it. It doesn't look like much. But you put that in a basket or a planter, and that will really outperform just about anything. We've had it hanging on the kennel out there and hang 6-7 feet to the ground. It kind of has a Spanish moss look to it. Very interesting plant. Dichondra. Keep that in mind if you're making up your own baskets. Alright, a little creeping Jenny here. We got some more over there in the fern house. We'll mix that in some. And we did mix some into some smaller containers. Old Dusty Miller makes a pretty nice centerpiece, tougher than nails. A lot of times will survive winter here. Some asparagus fern. We'll put that in a single pot. Alright, Bidens or Biddens. I don't know how it's pronounced, but Bidens is normally how I pronounce it. That had a really nice little yellow daisy bloom. It spreads. We mix it in a lot of different containers. It'll go in some of the planters. And lobelia, a true blue. We're always in search of a really good true blue flower. And we do a lot of red, white, and blue mixes with that one because of that. So it'll trail. And we put it in hanging baskets. We'll put it in planters. And we'll have it in single pots also. After that is just our petunia hanging baskets. All different colors. I'll take you, this is a new one for us this year. I like this name. I wonder whose idea that was. We got all different colors here, but I want to show you one in particular. Oh, the petunia bags. That's what I call them. They're owl's pouches. Coming along well. We only put 3 plugs in that, and they'll overtake it. Be unbelievable what they'll do. Alright, this is our 12-inch hanging baskets. They're white, and I'm not a fan of a white basket. And the reason we do that is because they're a bigger, more diverse, more expensive basket. So, at checkout, that makes it much easier to spot a white basket. You know that it's going to be more money than the green basket. So basically, that's why we do white in these. And we really try to knock our heads together and come up with as many interesting mixes, 3 and 4 color mixes in these different types of plants. We'll spend 2-3 days on this because we really want these to be nice for the customer. Want them to get their money's worth for sure. But we got all the wire hangers on those also. This is the flower I wanted to show you. It's called a black mamba. It's a petunia. We have a black and white mix here in this 12-inch basket with a snow princess. And that black mamba is one of our best sellers anymore in the way of the petunias. We sell most of those in the smaller pots. Very popular. We featured it already on our greenhouse page, and it was our Facebook page. And it got a lot of response. So I guess again this year that black mamba is going to be a hit. So that's just about going to wrap us up. We have a few more things here in some decorative baskets, just a few. And we'll be doing some cone baskets later to hang up. But this is a weekender basket. Kind of an interesting basket in itself. It has a water reservoir in the bottom. And it is made to hold about 1.5 gallons of water with wicks that go into the water, and the soil takes that up as it needs it. So it allows you to be able to leave for the weekend and have a live plant when you get back. We don't do very many of those because they're expensive and a little bit out of the price range, it seems, for the people that shop at my greenhouse. So we don't do a lot of those. All right, I gotta shut up here and get back to work and let you guys go. But this is the dragon wing begonias in 6-inch pots, 6.5-inch pots. That's the last thing I guess I'll show you today. So thank you guys for watching. We'll catch up with you on the next video.